This video is made possible by the Signs of Life community on Patreon. Are you ready to take your ambient skills to the next level? Or maybe you're just starting out and looking for more tutorials for the absolute beginner? On Patreon, you'll not only find tons of exclusive tutorials and presets, but you'll also find videos on specific topics such as mixing, compression, arrangements, ambient textures and layering, and so much more. If presets and samples are your thing, you'll also find over 70 Patreon exclusive preset packs, as well as exclusive construction kits complete with MIDI files so you can get a head start on your next track. And finally, if you want personal one-on-one instruction for ambient, sound design, and music production, check out the Ambient coaching tier. I've already changed the lives of hundreds of clients, and I know I can do the same for you. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today and join us. Link is down below in the description. When I first started the Signs of Life channel back in 2021, the most requested video by far was the full track walkthrough. Not only are these helpful for you, the viewer, but they allow me to show the process from the very start all the way to a finished track so you can apply these techniques to your own productions. Well, it's been a minute since we did a proper full track walkthrough on the channel, but it's a new year, so let's run it back and do another one. As you can imagine, these are extremely challenging videos to produce and take a lot of time, so it would mean the world to me if you go ahead and smash the like button and get subscribed if you haven't already. And if you want to support this channel financially, feel free to use the links down below in the description. That being said, let's get right into it. Full track walkthrough. Enjoy. So here we are in Ableton Live 11. Now the goal with today's video is to build a track from scratch. This tutorial will be suitable for producers of all skill levels. However, we're going to be focusing on the advanced beginner to intermediate producer who's looking to add a bit more structure to your track. So if you're someone like that who's maybe getting stuck in the 16-bar loop, maybe you struggle with finishing tracks, this tutorial will be for you. All right. So as another reminder, this channel is on Patreon, and all the presets that I create here today, I'm going to offer them up to my ambient presets tier and up. So if you want to get on these presets, I'll leave the link down below in the description as always for my Patreon, where you can sign up and grab all of the presets from this tutorial. If not, no worries. You can feel free to follow along and use any synths of your choice. Now, as another reminder, I am using Ableton Live here, so feel free to follow along in any other DAW that you have, whether it's Bitwig or Logic or Reaper, whatever you got, right? We are DAW agnostic here on Signs of Life. All right, so what I've also done is I've created a PowerPoint for today's tutorial to kind of give you guys a rough outline. Now this can be really helpful if you're struggling with finishing tracks, maybe you're just struggling in the sound design phase. Go to the last page of the book first, right? Read the end and sort of rough out your entire track before you actually create one. So as you can see down there at the bottom, we have the base layer / drone layer. We're gonna create that first. And then we have a secondary accent pad above that. And then we have a bass layer right in the middle that kind of lasts almost the entire track. We have some details or extra sounds. We're gonna get into those. We're gonna create a percussion layer. We're gonna do the hi-hats and the kick drum and the bass trick. And then we have 2 sequences to round things off. So doing an exercise like this, making a flow chart or even writing it down on paper can be really helpful, especially when you wanna reach a desired goal, which is finishing the track start to finish. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna play in 102 beats per minute. So I'll go ahead and just punch in 102 in my tempo here. And we're gonna be playing in G minor for those of you who are following at home. All right, so first things first, let's cover that bass layer / drone. And for that, I'm going to use Vital. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Vital, and I'm going to use a wavetable here. Now, the wavetable that I grab is going to be from Anomaly 3. So if you do have Anomaly 3, cool, you can use this wavetable. If not, the link is down in the description in all of my videos for Anomaly 3. It's my latest sound bank. We'll use Anomaly 360 right here. That's a pretty good one. And yeah, let's go ahead and just build a basic wavetable drone pad, right? So what we're gonna do is up the attack to around 5 seconds here. We're gonna zoom out and we're gonna up the decay to around 5 seconds as well. Lower down the sustain here to around 75% and up the release to around 5 seconds. You should have something that sounds like this. Okay. Nothing special, just a wavetable with a relatively slow envelope, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're going to add a filter, and that filter is automatically routed to oscillator 1. So we can go ahead and listen to it now. Sounds like this. Let's go ahead and lower our octave down. That'll work. Okay, cool. Now we'll make a separate envelope. So we'll click envelope 2 here and make a filter envelope for ourselves. So we're gonna go ahead and make this around 4 seconds, lower the sustain all the way down, and then make the decay around 4 seconds as well. So you kind of have this like triangle shape like this, and we're gonna drag that onto the cutoff of the filter. And that's going to allow us to open up that filter as we play. Check this out. Right? Cool. Now let's start adding some modulation and some motion to this wavetable. So what we're gonna do is grab random 1 here. We're gonna press the sync button so it doesn't restart every time we play a key. And we're going to drag it up to the wavetable position slider right here. Now that's gonna help us to provide a little bit of motion. So I'm gonna slow that down to 2/1 here. You can see it's moving in space now, right? Gives us a little bit more motion. That's cool, I like that. Okay, that's good. Another trick you can do is also adding voices of unison. So we're gonna add around maybe 6 voices of unison, lower the detune around to around, 5-6%. And then we'll come over to the advanced tab. Now, one thing I like to do is to play with the table spread and the spectral spread over here in the unison mode. It's really fun. So you can add a little bit more motion here. As you can see, it's kind of moving already. But we can actually move this with the same random. We can right click on it on the modulation wheel here and say make bipolar. So now we have a little bit of table spread in our unison. So it's actually, putting a little motion in there as well. That's nice. Now, what I'd also like to do is move this, but I don't want to use the same random and I don't want it to have the same motion, right? So what can I do here? Well, I can use an LFO, obviously. We'll go ahead and drag this LFO over here. Right click on it, make it bipolar. Now, that's cool, but I think we can do better, right? So let's go ahead and sync this up and we'll slow down the tempo to like maybe 4/1. And we'll add a couple more points to this LFO just by clicking, and it doesn't have to be anything special. Just randomly click, whatever you feel like, right? If you hit this button, it kind of makes the LFO a little bit more rounded, right? That's nice. Take that one out. And then what we can do is use that same random to modulate the phase of the LFO. So as you can see now, the LFO is moving, but the phase is changing. So this spectral spread is kind of, it has a different motion than the table spread. That's nice to see. I love that, right? Cool. We're in business here. So let's go ahead and add a second oscillator. We'll also put that oscillator through filter 1 by clicking oscillator 2. Clicking it on here, holding shift and lowering this down an octave, and we'll make this, maybe we'll go to the basic factory shapes, and we'll make this a triangle wave. There we go, just like that. And we'll lower down the level here to give ourselves a little bit of gravity. Nice sub oscillator there. This is sounding good to me, right? We're getting somewhere. Cool. So this is good. I like this, okay? So we got a nice filter envelope. It's very playable, okay? Let's start adding some effects now. So we're gonna go to the effects tab. We're gonna hit a compressor, lower down the mix a little bit, maybe up the attack, up the release. Maybe take out some of these lows right here. This is the multi-band compressor. Sometimes I use multi-band, sometimes I use single band, up to you. We'll add a delay here. So we're gonna put this in ping pong mode and put these on tempo dotted. I like a dotted 8th note delay. Up the mix here, maybe lower this cutoff down. That should be good. That sounded nice to me, right? Playing some different notes here, just kind of play around. I like that. We'll add an equalizer, maybe take out some of these lows with our EQ. Boost a little bit on the high end. Ever so slightly. There we go. And then we'll add a reverb. Now this will be our first reverb of 2. We're gonna add another separate reverb on the end of here. So we don't wanna go all the way with the mix. What I suggest you do is maybe go around maybe 35, 40% of the mix. up the time significantly to around 15 seconds and up the size here. So a nice long time value. Make it a big size, but lower the mix down, right? Very nice, very nice. Now this isn't drone enough. It's not spacey enough for me yet. So what I like to do is I will come over here and add a separate reverb. Now you can feel free to use any reverb of your choice. I'm gonna use the FabFilter Pro R2. Now I'm just gonna use it as an insert effect straight on top of our drone here. And we'll go ahead and just grab a preset. You can go ahead and make your own if you want. I'm gonna grab a launch of Farewell because I love that one. Lower the mix down to around 75%. Now listen to this. Ooh, those icy, glassy tones. I mean, that is just epic right there. I love that. Now, you could use Valhalla Vintage Verb. You could use anything, really. What we're looking for is we're looking for a nice, long-tailed reverb. So this one certainly fits the bill. Again, you could use Valhalla Room, Vintage Verb, stock reverb, whatever you got. And I usually don't recommend reverbing the reverb, like having multiple reverbs in a row, but for a drone, it really does add that extra layer of shine. So now that we got our preset all set up, this is sounding good. I'm happy here, right? We can just start with that. So what we'll do is we'll make a 32 bar MIDI clip. As you can see, it's got a nice long decay. I'm not even playing anymore. We'll change the color here. Let's go ahead and change the color. And we'll go ahead and, there we go, we'll change the color right here. And let's go ahead and draw in some notes. Now again, I'm playing in G minor here, so what I'm gonna do is just right click, turn off the fixed grid, make some chord shapes. This is a minor 7th chord to start. And draw in some notes here. Just like that, very good. Maybe change it. Add a sus2. Haunting. Oof. I love it. Oh, that's an interesting chord right there. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but it sounds nice. I like it. And maybe we'll end with a minor here. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and hit play. And we'll put this on a loop. Lower the level down. Gain stage it a little bit. Maybe take off the production channel strip. There we go. Perfect. So what we just did here was create our base layer drone. For that, we just use a simple wavetable, some motion, sub oscillator. That's a wild chord right there. That's interesting. Maybe we can up this to C. There we go. Oh, I like that. Very nice. Oh yeah. And we'll change this note maybe to like D here. There we go, add one more, the G. Perfect. All right, cool. So we've got our base layer drone. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. And now we have a choice. We could either create our secondary pad, we could create some extra details or extra sounds, but where I think we might go, let's actually create our percussion layer. This is a hot take, right? Like we're starting off with the drone, but sometimes it's helpful to reach towards parts of the track that you may not necessarily think that you need right now, but maybe that might inspire you. And one of those things is percussion, right? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go back to the tutorial here and let's go ahead and create some glitch percussion. To do that, I'm gonna use Vital here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Vital. And we're gonna do the same thing we did in a previous tutorial that I showed just the other day here on the channel. We're going to use Vital as sort of this glitch percussion generator, right? And how we can do that is we can go ahead and turn off Vital here. We'll go ahead and grab a step sequencer. For this example, I'm going to use Stepic because I love Stepic. It's a great step sequencer. And yeah, it can pretty much do everything you need to do as far as step sequencing goes. So what I'm going to do is just leave it on 16th notes, just like I did before. We're going to up the velocity here, and just kind of randomize the velocity, roll the dice, and spread it out. Make sure that you have a wide range of velocity here. That will work, very good. And we'll come over to the divider here, and what we'll do is we'll make this a ratio-based thing. So we'll add 2 of these right here on the +2 and 1 on the +3, and then we'll randomize the direction. The purple dice means it's not going to repeat. Very good. And we'll also do the same for the velocity, turn it on to purple. That's it. That's all we're going to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off Stepic and come over to Vital and start designing our sound here. So what we're going to do is just grab another wavetable. I could grab something from, say, the Patreon pack. That will work. And we'll lower the sustain all the way down here, okay, in Vital. And again, you can grab any old wavetable. It could be something from the factory library, whatever sounds good to you, all right? We're going to lower the decay down to around 0.35 seconds. That's perfect, right there. All right, 39 seconds, close enough, right? So what we're gonna do is we're going to start modulating everything with velocity because we've randomized that velocity. We've also randomized this direction. So we'll grab this velocity node right here and we'll start pulling it over to different parts of the synth. We'll pull it over to the wavetable position. We will pull velocity over to the decay and ever so slightly modulate that decay right there, okay? We'll put this on quantize. And maybe we'll modulate quantize with velocity. That might be cool. We can even modulate the harmonic stretch. That might also be cool. So we'll go ahead and grab velocity and slightly modulate harmonic stretch. Very good. Okay. What we can also do is add a little bit of white noise and modulate velocity with the white noise. Just go ahead and add a little bit of level right there. That's cool. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on the filter and we're going to move this slider all the way to the right to make it a high pass, okay? High pass, and we're going to modulate the position of that high pass filter with velocity as well. Last but not least, we're going to hold shift and up this around 2 octaves. All right, that should be good. Let's go ahead and hit play here and see what this sounds like. As you can see, we have Stepic running. It's giving us randomized velocity. And our preset over in Vital is doing its thing. You can adjust the position of this filter. It's got a little bit of knock in there. I love that. Let's go ahead and isolate this. Yeah, that's what you should be listening to right now. Just giving it a little bit of, extra sauce there, right? I like it, I like it. All right, now let's go ahead and grab some plugins to add to our glitch percussion, all right? So let's go ahead. I'm gonna grab the, let's say beat repeat plugin here. There's a preset called Micro Fills. I love that one. We'll go ahead and grab Automaton from Audio Damage. If you have this plugin installed, it's a great free plugin. I've been using it for years. So we'll use Automaton and we will change the preset to additional beats right here. And we'll go ahead and just take the bit crush out. So we'll take the bit crush out just by clicking on it. We'll also take the modulate out, okay? And we'll take the master and we'll up the effects level here. Perfect, that's all we need to do. So now let's go ahead and hit play. Automaton's doing its thing. Love that. We can go ahead and grab an LFO here. We'll grab an LFO. And we will use this LFO ever so slowly. Kind of lower the rate down here. Actually, you can't see that. Let me go ahead and turn off my camera so you guys can see that. So what we'll do is we'll lower the level or the rate down. And we will adjust the interval here, right there, and we'll map it to the interval. That should be good, just like that. Let's go ahead and listen to that. Perfect. Excellent. Last but not least, let's grab the auto pan plugin. And we'll make it a random right here in the end. And we'll up the amount all the way. And maybe we'll sync this up to 1/16. That's wild. I love it. Excellent. All right, cool. So now we have our glitch percussion. As you can hear, it's really inspiring, right? It's like something's building here. Let's go back to our PowerPoint here. So now what we've done is we've created half of the percussion layer and the drone, right? So now let's ground ourselves in space, because we sort of said to ourselves, well, we have motion, we have movement, but what we really need is we need a foundation now. Now we need to build our foundation. So for that, we're gonna reach towards our kick drums, we're gonna reach towards our bass layer. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna grab another synth. It's gonna be Vital. Again, all of these presets will be available for the Ambient presets tier. If not, let's create a bass together, all right? A bass in Vital is very simple. All you do is lower the octave down, maybe 1 or 2 octaves, add a little bit of unison here, lower the detune down amount, and add a filter. Now, the filter should be on 24 dB, okay? And then you can grab a second envelope and go ahead and lower this sustain amount down and drag it over to the cutoff of the filter and ever so slightly move that cutoff filter. So what this is gonna sound like, it's gonna sound like a very deep moving bass sound, right? And the way that's done is I just left the envelope in its default position with the sustain all the way up. So no matter what, it's going to sustain at the maximum level. Because I have a little bit of unison here, this unison is keeping, you know, the motion going, like it's moving around. You can see it on the oscilloscope here, right? Just a little bit of motion, right? Got a couple more voices. There we go. The more you detune it, the more motion you get. And maybe that might be a touch you want to add, you know, something like the higher the note, the higher the unison detune. That might be cool. Good. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and play this with the rest of it. Nice. I like that. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Again, this is just filtered sawtooth. Taking this one step further, we can go ahead and add a second oscillator here. Let's go ahead and add a second oscillator. Lower this down another octave by holding Shift and lowering this down -12. We'll go ahead and go to the factory, basic shapes. We'll make it a sine wave. Lower this down just by a little bit. Add it to the filter as well. Okay. And like I said, we can grab the note value, and let's go ahead and try that. Let's go ahead and grab note here and pull it over to the unison detune, and ever so slightly. So, oh yeah. So the higher you go, you get a little more detune. That's nice. I like that touch. That's cool. I just thought of that. I like it. Excellent. Okay, we're in business here. So this will be our bass sound, right? And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna extend this bass sound all the way across here. So we'll just do a long note here to kind of give us a grounding. Let's go ahead and just grab this. We'll make this 32 bars, and this will be our bass tone. And what it'll do, it'll sort of give us a foundation to build our kick drum on top of later. There we go. We'll do like a 2-bar note thing. There we go. Cool. We'll go ahead and grab these 2 notes. Go ahead and duplicate them over. That should be good. I like that. All right, cool. Yes. Put this through the bass bus. Gain stage a little bit. Turn off the production channel strip. There we go. Yes. Very nice, very nice. So let's rename this stuff. That's the bass layer. Okay. Our hi-hat, glitch percussion. And this is our bass layer pad drone. Now, like I said, we need to finish our percussion layer and add a couple details and extra sounds. So for the percussion layer, we're going to add a kick drum and a bass underneath the kick drum. And then we're gonna add maybe even our sequences, and then we'll get into the details and extra sounds, all right? So let's go ahead and keep it moving here. So we're just gonna grab the kick rack, okay? And what we're also going to do is grab these glitch snares that I've been working on, okay? And that should be good. And we'll grab a synth, and that synth will be Vital. And I'll show you what I'm gonna do with Vital in just a little bit. So what I like to do here is just come over to the first 4 bars of the track and start laying in some kick drums, okay? So again, this was the kick drum rack. So you can see it's just my kick rack, right? Go ahead and click on the MIDI clip, and we'll keep it on 16th notes, okay? Now you can just go ahead and randomly punch in some notes here. So I'll go ahead and put the headphones on so you can hear it. Randomly punch in some notes. Make sure you don't touch the sort of spots where the snares are gonna go. And in most snares go on the half. So it's 1.2, 1.4, 2.2, 2.4, etc., right? So you wanna have these kicks sort of spread out, you know, in a generous way. At least I like to do it like this. I think it's kind of cool. Give it a nice opportunity to make some cool stuff happen, right? See how this sounds. Let's go ahead and just go ahead and duplicate that over. I might want to change this here. I like to be surprised, you know? I like to make patterns that really excite me, like, wow, that's so cool, like kind of an offset beat, you know? All right, so now that we created our kick pattern, again, not thinking too much about it, let's go ahead and create a snare pattern. And for that, since we've already laid our snares out, all we need to do is come in and fill in, find the sound you want. This is why I create these kicks ahead of time. And just go ahead and fill in those spots where the snares are naturally gonna go. You hear that? It just almost subconsciously naturally falls where you want it to fall, right? One thing you can do to adjust the snare is you could either transpose it. That's much better. I like that. You could play with the transposition. Ooh, that might be nice. Let's do that. Oh yeah, so let's go ahead and grab an LFO. Nice slow LFO here. And let's make it random. And let's go ahead and map that to the transposition. Lower the depth down. Nice, and change the offset. There we go. Right, so we're getting a little bit of motion there. It's all about the offset, right? So we want to keep it high because it was pretty high, but then change the depth down to somewhere around maybe 8, 9%, maybe 11%. That's good. Yeah. Producer hacks here on Signs of Life. I love it. All right, cool. So now what we're gonna do, remember I said we were gonna use Vital here, all right? Let's go ahead and pause the track. What I'm gonna do is grab this kick drum pattern, and I'm gonna use that to create our sort of bass supporting layer underneath the kick drum, all right? Now, how we're gonna do this is I'm gonna make sure that we're playing in the root note. So you can go ahead and turn on off the headphones here. We're gonna go ahead and just put it onto G1, like that. Okay, perfect. And what we can do here is now that we're playing all Gs is we can come over here and just make sort of a bass, a snappy bass drum to go underneath our already existing kick. So what I'm gonna do here is lower the level down a little bit. Maybe we'll make this we'll leave this a filter sawtooth. We'll make it 24. And just like our bass, we're gonna go ahead and just kind of grab an envelope and make it a little bit shorter so it gives a little bit of motion to this whole thing. That's cool. We can go ahead and do that. Maybe you can up the resonance a little bit. And we're gonna hold shift and lower this down an octave. And we'll do the same thing. We'll grab one from the factory library, basic shapes, lower it down an octave like this. And then we'll put that through the filter as well. So now we have like a nice, on envelope 1, we can actually lower this down and lower the decay down. So now we have a nice little like kind of snappy bass drum underneath our kick. So let's go ahead and listen to this. Right? Nothing too crazy here. That's kind of all you need. Right? Cool. You can up the motion here a little bit. Nice. Okay. Add some compression, make it a little louder. Now, one trick that I like to do is we don't have to have this go off every single time. So pick a couple notes that you'd like to have it and maybe take out some that you don't. So maybe I like to kind of thin this out a little bit so the kick can kind of take care of some of those notes and the bass can kind of do its own thing. So let's go ahead and solo these two things together. That's good. Yeah. Right? So there's sort of like an interplay between the kick and the bass. You don't hear it every single time. Of course, you can like, make this louder later on in post, right? That's good. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Add a little bit of distortion maybe. Yes. That's good. Cool. Play with the filter position. Now let's listen to this for the rest of the track. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Nice. I love it. So you see, like, sometimes it's kind of the simplest solutions that make the best results, right? Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Now we've created not only our bass layer drone, our bass layer, our percussion layer. We're ready for the sequences and the details and extra sounds. We're ready for that stage because we've gone ahead and just methodically created layer by layer where we want to go and where we want to take this track. Now, we are playing in like sort of a beginning loop, but we know where things are laid out in space. So that gives us a huge advantage when it comes to actually arranging this entire thing. That's exciting. Next up, sequences. So for the sequences, let's go ahead and grab Stepic here again. I'm also going to be using Vito for the sequence as well to create a basic pluck. So what I'm going to do is come over here and just grab Stepic, and we'll have two separate sequences. The first sequence, I think, is going to be an 8th note sequence with only 8 steps, something very basic here. And we'll go ahead and grab Vital, drop it after Stepic. And what we'll do is we'll adjust Stepic first. So let's go ahead and just turn off Vital for now, open up Stepic, and we're gonna lower the steps down to 8 steps, just like this. And we'll put the note length at 1/8. Now, we're also gonna be playing in G minor here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on G3 and then natural minor. And we can go ahead and grab some notes. Again, this could be personally whatever you feel like. It doesn't really matter. I tend to go for the minor keys, so I like to do, maybe some minor notes here, just something really simple. Maybe you can adjust some of these octave sliders if you'd like as well. You could randomize this. I'm gonna randomize the direction. So every once in a while, we're gonna get a +1 here. You can go ahead and randomize the velocity as well. Go ahead and roll the dice here. Give a nice randomized velocity. That should be good. Randomize the direction. And last but not least, I think what we're gonna do is let's keep this as, I'm gonna use these notes. I like these ones. We're gonna go ahead and keep this as straight up, meaning it's not going to be randomized as far as direction goes. We can also go ahead and hit the random button up here. And if you do this, the top changes from it has two different modes, really. 3 different modes, but 2 different settings. So you have the percentage mode or the fixed mode. I'm gonna go to percentage mode, and maybe you can toggle on some of these percentages. So every once in a while, this is the percentage that it's going to be off. So it's off percentage. So it's giving it a random chance that it'll even play at all. And that might provide some extra, modulation in terms of sequences as far as the on off goes. That's cool. So now we've got Stepic all set up. Let's go ahead and come back over to Vital. And we're gonna go ahead and grab Vital and just go ahead and lower the sustain all the way down here and give it a decay of around maybe a half second. That should be good. Okay, we'll tie that to the filter, and we'll go ahead and make this a 24 dB filter. We'll tie this envelope to the filter just like this, and we'll go ahead and lower down the amount here, up the resonance a little bit. It could be a filtered sawtooth. That's sometimes all that it needs. And sometimes we'll just go ahead and grab an LFO, sync this LFO up and make it 8/1. And we'll go ahead and drag the LFO over to the cutoff filter and lower down its amount. So because it's on sync mode, it's going to just raise and lower the cutoff ever so slightly. And this envelope is going to take care of that as well. We can go ahead and add a sine wave to this. Same recipe for our bass. Basically, we're just doing a filter sawtooth sine wave. It always sounds good. And now let's go ahead and we'll turn on Stepic again. Before we hit play here, we're gonna put this through the synth bus. I'm also gonna turn on some delay. Now on my send effects, I get asked this a lot. What am I using? I'm using the Valhalla delay, dual dotted 8th note delay here, all right? So if you have your own like ping pong or dotted 8th note delay in stock that you can use, this is what I'm using for delay here. I'm also using some FabFilter and some Valhalla Room reverbs here. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna turn up the dotted dual 8th note delay, and let's go ahead and hit play. That sounds so good. So you see, one thing that really made a difference was adding some percentage chance that these notes are even gonna play at all. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't randomize the direction of the sequence. Because the randomized percentage that they even play adds a lot of context to our sequence, I think. Combine that with the velocity. Oh, that's gorgeous. Let's go ahead and adjust maybe our filter position with velocity. Lower this down a significant amount. So velocity does have some influence on our patch. I like that. Adjust velocity on the level of the sine wave. Very nice. Excellent. Now, one cool thing about Stepic is we have this drag to the DAW feature, meaning we can drag the notes all the way in. If I grab 16 bars of MIDI notes here and go ahead and drag them in, I'm gonna get 16 bars of randomized MIDI, which is very important. So we have 16 bars of randomized MIDI pattern, which is really nice because we can do this multiple times. Now, if we go back to our PowerPoint, you see that I have sequence laid out right here. There's a gap, and then sequence 1 comes in again underneath sequence 2, okay? So what we can do here is we can come back to our DAW and we can go ahead and do this again a second time. So let's go ahead and grab another 16 bars of MIDI, but we're gonna space it out a little bit, all right? So now we're sort of done with Stepic and we can kind of move this over here. Now this is just, 1 minute and 20 seconds of track here, but you can imagine what this would be like in a much larger context if we were spreading this out over the course of 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, right? We're really extending things out here. So this is good. I like this because this MIDI clip is completely different from this one. All right, that's a very important point. Excellent. That sounds so good. I love it. Let's go back to the beginning. Yes. Excellent. So we've covered a lot here, right? We have our bass layer drone, we have our bass layer, we have our percussion layer. Now we have sequence 1, okay? Before we get into sequence 2, let's add some details and extra sounds. And for this, we might have to start doing some arranging, okay? And that's cool, we're at that stage now. I think it's important. So what we're gonna do is come back to the DAW here. Let's go ahead and start doing a basic arrangement. So what I'm gonna do is I will take the loop marker and I'll extend this out to say 200 bars, okay? And what that's gonna do is allow me to extend my entire view here. So now we have like an overall picture of what our track will be. Maybe it'll be 6-7 minutes long, right? So we can go ahead and extend this out. This is our bass layer drone, just like we have in the PowerPoint. We can go ahead and move this over a little bit so the bass maybe starts at, 17, yeah, we'll start this 8 bars in, okay? I'll have this bass go for, till about 97, and then we'll duplicate this out. And just like this, I'll have a nice midpoint. There we go. We can move this back a little bit. Perfect. There we go. Extend this out just a little bit more to 217. Excellent. Okay. So we're sort of following the framework that we laid out over here. So we have our bass layer drone, we have our bass layer, and then we'll start laying in some of these sequences. So let's go ahead and move these sequences over. I said they started around here, bar 17. That's good. We can go ahead and duplicate this pattern. There we go. Excellent. And this will extend all the way over here. Perfect, to around 81, love that. And then we can extend this out again. This can start over here, and there we go. So we're starting to really build this up the same way that we created it, which was laying these things thoughtfully out. And when you have the advantage of, having your track all laid out in a PowerPoint, it really does make a lot of sense. So this is what our track looks like right now. Let's go ahead and move this percussion over. We're gonna start that maybe on right here. Very good, excellent, I like it. Go ahead and duplicate this out. Very good. So you can see our track is starting to take shape just that quickly, just because we already have an idea of what we want to do ahead of time. Now, the question is, how do we get the glitch percussion into our track? Well, all we have to do is go ahead and grab some randomized MIDI from Stepic. It doesn't even need to be randomized. It could be 16 bars. We'll go ahead and drag this over. There we go, just like that. And so our glitch percussion is gonna come in before the actual percussion happens. And there we go, right? I mean, that's all there is to it. It really isn't that complicated when you have a good idea of what you wanna do. There we go, very good. Okay. We're in business here. So now we have a full track almost laid out just by doing some simple work here and making some necessary moves. Now, let's go ahead and create some of those detail sounds that I was talking about. We're gonna need some more tracks, so we'll grab 2 more tracks here. What I'm gonna do is use a sample inside of Vital using the sample oscillator. And the sample is gonna come from the free to use sounds library. If you guys don't know what the free to use sounds library is, it is one of the largest sample library collections in the world, created by Marcel and Libby from free to use sounds. I always leave links down below in the description for this library. It's really an amazing value. And it's just from all their travels over the years. They've just collected all these wonderful sounds and they're all free to use. As long as you alter them or give them credit, it's all good. So what I'm gonna do is just turn off oscillator 1 here. And then we're gonna turn on the sample oscillator and come down, and it's in my folder. It's called Vietnam Water Waves. This is from the Vietnam Water 2019 collection, right? So we can go ahead and just play this. You can hear it. Some cool water splashing sounds, right? We can use this button right here. That is the, it's gonna pitch it to whatever note we're playing. It's already looping, right? We can go in both directions. We can up the transposition here. There we go, right? So we now have some nice water sounds. What we can also do is filter this out in a really unique way. So what we're gonna do is go to the notch spread, right? There we go. I'll put this through the sample. There we go, just like this. Excellent. We can go ahead and move this with, say, a random, okay? Put that random in sample and hold. Oh, just like that. That's very good, right? I'm holding down 2 keys, a G1 and a G2, right? So you can hear we've got some motion there. And that's very interesting to me because once we start adding delay and reverb and stuff, it's gonna sound really, really enticing. So let's go ahead and add a multi-band compressor to this. We're gonna lower down the lows. I'll lower down the mix a little bit. Oh yeah. You hear that? We'll add a delay, make it ping pong. Uh-huh. Very nice, very nice. We can lower the cutoff down here. Up the mix up a little bit. Let's go ahead and play our bass layer drone underneath this, see what it sounds like. Yes, I like that. And we'll go ahead and add a generous amount of reverb here. Again, long time, low mix, big size. That's what you're after. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay? So what can happen here is if we really increase the delay amount, let's go ahead and increase the delay amount, increase the feedback here. Okay? So what's gonna happen is we're gonna sparsely kind of just place some notes along this timeline here. And what that's gonna do is it's going to allow us to really kind of get the feeling that that sample is down there somewhere, but it's kind of just sitting underneath the pad. So let's go ahead and grab those two notes that we played earlier. There we go, just like this. And we'll go ahead and grab maybe 1 bar MIDI clips, and we'll go ahead and just randomly draw in some MIDI notes, right? Go ahead and we can duplicate this. There we go. We'll put them over here. Very good. Duplicate again, put them here, put them there. Duplicate, just doesn't have to be exact, but as long as you're, being methodical about it. There we go. Very nice. I like that. Oh yeah. Excellent. Oh my goodness, that sounds so good. All right. So we added a little bit of detail, right? That's something on the overall frequency spectrum. We talk about this in my tutorials on Patreon a lot, is utilizing the entire frequency spectrum. Something like that can really help you fill out that entire frequency spectrum. Oh, I love that. Look at that bass come in. Oof. That's so good. All right, back to the PowerPoint we go. So now we've created the bass layer, the drone layer, the percussion layer, the sequence layer, the details and extra sounds layer, right? The only thing left to do is the final touch. And yes, I know I didn't add the secondary pad, but I don't think we need it right here. Let's add another sequence. Come back to our DAW. Excellent, we can go ahead and duplicate this over just like it is in our PowerPoint. Add the details over there. We'll call this details layer. Go ahead and rename that. There we go, signs, all right. And we'll add a secondary sequence. Now for the secondary sequence, I'm gonna go ahead and grab something from Anomaly 3. I think that will work really well here. And sometimes I'm not afraid to use a preset, right? Sometimes it actually really works. So with Anomaly 3, I've added a bunch of these sequences. I'll go ahead and organize this by name. We'll come all the way down here and we'll grab one of those sequences from Anomaly 3. How about we'll grab Distant Star System. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna move towards the second half of our track here. I'll go ahead and zoom out and we'll listen to what it sounds like here. Excellent. Liking where this is going. Now let's go ahead and analyze this sequence before we actually get started. Give a teaching moment here, right? So we have an LFO with a very interesting shape here that I've created that is modulating multiple different things. Modulating the oscillator level, the filter cutoff, oscillator 2's level, and oscillator 3's level. So this LFO is driving the entire patch, right? And then you have multiple LFOs that are doing different things. This is modulating the cutoff. This is modulating filter 2's cutoff. So we have two different filters, and these randoms are modulating the transposition. As you can see, these are pitch locked over here of oscillators 1 and 3. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay down a MIDI clip here, okay? And of course, we'll just play a G note because that's what these sequences are for. We'll go ahead and just 8 bars, draw mode, go ahead and draw in a MIDI clip, drag it all the way over, and we will wait until this finishes for the big reveal here. Again, there's always a link for Anomaly 3 down below in the description of all of my videos. It's my latest sound bank. Wait till this finishes. Go ahead and restart. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that is so perfect. Yes. You see? Wow. Oh, that is brilliant. We can actually add some of these details coming in earlier. Let's do it. Oh my gosh, it's gonna hit right now. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness, wow. So you see, all the way to the end, we went bass layer drone, bass layer, extra detail sounds, percussion layer, sequences, secondary sequences. I showed you how to lay out the entire track. And my only hope is that this gave you the confidence to recreate this on your own. Because if you can see it, if you can visualize it, and you can take the necessary steps using the sounds, using the tools you have available. We basically used Vital the entire time. One of the only paid tools we used was Stepic. And if you can utilize these tools to your advantage, you can build these sounds from scratch and make this beautiful music and make your dreams come alive. That's really why I'm doing this channel, is to help you guys and to make you see that there's more than what your vision has in store for you. There's a whole world out there. And if you can grasp it and utilize the power that you have inside, anything can happen. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you love this kind of tutorial, you'd love my Patreon. I do tutorials like this every single week. And I'm just feeling like this is the vibe here. If you really want to learn more, come over to my Patreon. You can grab all of the presets that I made on this tutorial. You can commiserate with the entire community because we have our own private Discord. It's just a really wonderful place to be. So I'd love to have you over there. If this tutorial benefited you in some way, if you enjoyed it, if you learned something, feel free to leave a comment down below. I love hearing from this community. The Signs of Life community is my great joy in life. And I'm honored to be here doing this for y'all. Honored and blessed. I'll be back again soon with more Ambient tutorials. It's been a minute since we did a full track walkthrough. I had so much fun today. I hope you had fun as well. And stay inspired. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. My name is Chris from Signs of Life. And I'll see you all in the next one.